in the Auditor General's report and in my discussions with the superintendent of that division, I heard some really heartbreaking stories. So that, I've never, I don't think, seen the Auditor General give a report that is so, he was very passionate about it. I mean, Marwan Sahar, for anybody who's ever interviewed him, he's a very straight-laced dude. It's hard to get him to pontificate about something or to lay out a big hot quote for the beginning of a story.
I know, and that's why when he does, it's such news.
I know, right? So, but when I interviewed him on this story, he was extremely passionate about it, and I'll say a couple of things. He included in that story, or in that report, a really powerful vignette about the school in Gift Lake, where the school was rife with mold. They'd had the entire teacher body had turned over in 1 year, and 11 students had died within the student body over the recent period. And so you include that kind of powerful stuff in an audit, and it really brings home how different these schools are from the schools that many Albertans are familiar with. Mm-hmm. The other thing I'll say is that Miss Barrett, that I spoke with, the superintendent, told me that teachers in this jurisdiction, do things like bring home laundry for kids, because some families are not able to provide clean clothes for their kids, and so they are not attending school because they know that their clothes are not clean. They will go to the grocery store on the weekend and make food for the kids to entice them to come to school, because they know that they're not getting breakfast at home. So if they get breakfast at school, then they'll come. Mm-hmm. Last but not least, young women who have babies, 14, 15, these teachers, without any proper supports, will just welcome these young girls in with their infants into a regular classroom. If you can imagine the upheaval and disruption that causes. So, I think it's important to recognize that these are not the schools that most Albertans are familiar with. They're very, very different.
The Northlands School Division, though, that it is a problem that an audit can remind us, but it cannot fix.
Right.
The problem with the Northlands School Division, and I made a snarky comment about apartheid a minute ago, but I stand by it. The Northlands School Division was begun with the best of intentions. The idea was that they would take communities that were in other school divisions, and they would take all the Aboriginal, the Métis settlement communities together and make them one school division. It's been a disastrous public policy, because it means that you've got poor schools near communities that have rich schools, but the rich school is part of a different other public school division. So you've put all of the weakest and most high-need schools together in one division. There's no geographic logic to it, because it sprawls all over everything. I think it is long past time to say that this is an experiment in separate but equal education, which has completely and totally failed, and to say that it makes much more sense to align those schools with their closest nearby public or Catholic school division. But nobody seems willing to recognize the idea that creating an all Aboriginal school division, the idea being that all those kids would have so much in common, has been a horrific public policy error.